Hey folks, and welcome to my stream. My name is Chris Parrish, or if you're looking for me anywhere online, it's pretty much CU Frisbee everywhere. I played Ultimate all through college, back when it was often called Ultimate Frisbee, and kind of picked that up as my moniker back then. So this is the new game from Stormcrest Games. If you are not familiar with Stormcrest Games, or me, I am a huge fan of the first game they put out, which is called Master of Wills, which is a head-to-head tug-of-war kind of game where you're competing for control over a city. It's basically a futuristic, cyberpunk, post-apocalyptic kind of event. Happened that kind of put the world into a state where the only place that people could live comfortably, or not so comfortably in some cases, were in the megacities that were kind of spread around the earth. And so in that game, you were actually fighting over control of Nova City, which is up here in the northeast kind of Cascadia region. That area, basically, that city had 8 factions that were fighting for control over that city. But above all of them was a guy kind of just known as the Overlord, who was a mysterious, shadowy figure who tried to control everything in the city, and did so and took control of the city with this horde of weird steampunk people that he recruited from all across the land to come over there and take control of Nova City and basically control all of what used to be known as kind of North America. All of the factions united and overthrew the Overlord, kind of throwing all of his minions and everybody that was following him into turmoil. And now, in this game, which is Thornraver, the Battle for Solus, is that there are new people who are rising up and trying to be the new Overlord and take control of everything again. So this game, in the first game, this is set up kind of similar to what Master of Wills was, in that there are regions and you're fighting for control over people in different areas and that kind of stuff. But at the end of the game, it was basically like whoever had the most points on their side won. This game is much more of a real territory control game, in that you are fighting for control of all of these cities and all of these areas across the nation, and trying to control the capitals of each of these areas. So what I have done, just because I don't have enough space here and I don't have the setup to be able to do it, is when you get the game, you basically have enough cards within the deck to be able to set up 2 different decks to be able to play against and compete against each other, using obviously just the 1 copy of each card that you get. If each of you had your own decks or own copies of the game, then you could actually craft and create whatever deck you want to be able to set up whatever style of play that it is that you're most comfortable with, or that you are just drawn to and want to be able to do, and that kind of thing. What I did is I just took all of the different types of cards and I shuffled them up, and depending upon the breakdown of the cards, each of the decks is allowed to have 2 legendary cards, which are your strongest kind of ability cards, 5 epic cards, which are your really strong cards that can sometimes score even into the legendary area as far as being able what their abilities are and influence and those sorts of things. You get 8 or more action cards if you want to put more in your deck, and depending on what your deck does and different ways, there can be reasons that you might want more than that in your deck, more than just the base 8. And then there are 5 that are called special cards. Those special cards can actually be played onto rows to have lasting effects on those rows that happen throughout the game. Or they can be cards that can actually be played into your tableau, which can tie into everything else that you're doing and played on that. Speaking of which, what you'll notice, I can show you an example of a couple of the cards here. Here's a good example. This is one of the epic cards that are in the deck that are in the regular the Overlord deck. What you will notice as we start the game is there's one side that is basically the Overlord, and then there's the Toxic Overlord. They're represented by an orange token on one side, and the toxic side is all of these green icons, which will be used to mark places on the map. When the game starts out, this is the Overlord side. You have one card which is in the middle, which they refer to as the spine, but this is the actual Overlord himself. And then as he recruits people, or gets his people to actually join into the fight, you get to play off of this by connecting onto the gold areas that are these gold kind of thorn symbols that are on there. So I would not be able to play Gore Vigor on this side of him because you cannot match the black side to the gold arc that's there. But I can play him up here. And when I play him up here, you get to use the abilities starting on the left side. You do the left side first, then the right side. And later on, if you ever connect anything to these gold icons, You see this little arc that's around the right side ability here? That's going to get re-triggered again, but not the left side because it doesn't actually have that arc around it. So later on, if I were to play one of these cards from my hand, such as Silver Tongue, I could play it here and re-trigger that. So there are ways that you can set this up where it's like if I have Silver Tongue, if I manage to make a formation that puts her up here, then I might be able to play a card in the middle between both of these that connects at both of those and triggers all these arcs that are on her as well as the one that is on him, so you can get some really neat kind of combo abilities out of these cards. Now, the trick is, as you get these black areas on there, you can't use that to build off of. But if you have a card that you want to build in and put into place that you need to be able to fit in a place, on this side, for instance, you would have to have a black one that would match here to play off of the gold one here to be able to fit into that space. So you really get into some space management kind of stuff, but sometimes you can back yourself into a corner, which is where this one instant play card that you get at the beginning of the game allows you to put something into play that allows you to then build off of it more because it gives you 4 of those golden areas to build off of. So you can throw it down. It extends the game by 1 round, but you can put it down so that you actually have more options of things that you can build. So this just kind of gets set off to the side, and you can use it whenever you want to on one of your turns to be able to put that into play and do that. But again, the trade-off is it extends the game by 1 round, which could be good or bad for you. Sometimes you don't want to extend it because you have a good lead, and you want to end the game as early as possible. So you really have to weigh in some of that. Some of the other cards that are in the decks do also do some extra extension stuff. As I mentioned, this game is really focused on trying to gain control of the world through a typical area control type of game and setup. And you are trying to control all of these different areas on the board. So this represents the areas that you will have control for, and you will be setting up a headquarters, and you will be trying to compete for control of some of the capitals of some of the different regions across this area. Across the very top is our round counter. The game starts off initially with just 10 rounds of play, but as the game goes on, there are ways that you can extend it by playing either the cog, and that would actually push this blocker kind of out, allowing you up to a maximum of 14. You can never go beyond 14 rounds of that. Now, when the game begins, I kind of showed you how that stuff starts off. A couple of the other things that you'll kind of notice, there are a number of icons which represent resources and things that are available throughout the game. We have a couple other tokens that we'll kind of introduce and I will show you in a minute. But the game is set up so that there's a neutral area. These are people that you are trying to recruit and control to kind of influence your horde and make your side stronger so that you can then attack the other one and kind of defeat them and put them down. The instruction booklet basically says that usually the game comes down to the counting of points at the end of the game, but there is a way that you can actually just completely destroy your opponent, wipe them off. If you can destroy their headquarters by getting rid of their 2 other capitals first, then you can actually win the game through a complete declaration of victory that way. Throughout the game, sometimes there are cards that you're going to freeze, which just means that the card cannot move, but it can be affected by other things. It can be killed, it can be destroyed in other ways to do that. These cards are nice because on the flip side, it is a protect card. Now, a protect card is just what it says. It can sometimes protect a row, it can protect a card, whatever it is. If a card is protected, it can't be moved, it can't be destroyed, it cannot be affected in any way until this card kind of expires and goes away. So those will be coming into play. And then, as I mentioned, there are 2 kind of mythic cards that start in the deck for each person. And then you have a 20-card deck. Outside of those, there are 6 cards that are up for grabs for either player to be able to take advantage of throughout the game if you can satisfy the requirement of building a space that will house one of those cards. 4 of these basically have 4 light connections on the side. So if you can build a square that allows this card to just be dropped into it, then when you do that, you immediately get to activate one of these 4 and place it in there and gain the ability that is automatically done by that. These can be very strong. They can help to turn the tide of battle, and they can be used in really cool ways. The flip side of that is if you manage to make the negative, which is that you basically have a space that is surrounded by 4 dark arcs, dark thorn kind of areas, then you can actually drop one of these 2 into that area and activate that as well. So you're trying to be crafty in how you create your connections and how you build that tableau of cards out so that you can hopefully take advantage of one or maybe even two of these cards throughout the game. Now, those cards are very strong, but they also have certain limitations in that they can't be affected by other cards that allow you to manipulate and move things around within your board. The mythic cards can never be moved and can never be touched once you place them. So, at the beginning of the game, what happens is there are actually 10 capital cities in basically across the nation. You take 6 of them and you shuffle those 10 up and you deal 3 to each person. You take the other 4 and you put them in the deck and you shuffle that deck up so that those other capitals are available to be able to be controlled throughout the game once you get them and kind of expose them and make them available and possible to be controlled. First thing you do at the beginning of the game is after you've got your decks assigned, you deal out those 3, and each overlord is going to look at the 3 that they have been dealt and try to decide which one they want as their headquarters, which is going to go over their allies area, which is the most important city that you're going to have, and then which ones are just going to be capitals that you have control of at the start of the game. You'll learn a little bit more about how those things work as the game goes on, but the one really important thing I want to mention, and it's something that for those of us who have played Master of Wills a lot is something that's kind of hard to remember to do because it's so different from the way that the game is kind of triggered and everything that goes on, is at the beginning of every one of your rounds, your headquarters has the ability to influence your region cards 2 spaces towards your side. And basically that just means, like, if I were to choose Salvus Junction as my headquarters, which is the capital city of Coven Rock, all of the people who are from Coven Rock are of course going to want to come to Salvus Junction, because that is their headquarters. That is the place where they want to go, and it has a huge amount of influence in the area. So what that means is at the beginning of the round, I can take this Coven Rock and move it 2 spaces towards my side before I do anything else, because these people want to come home and they want to be where they're supposed to be. So one of the things that I like to do at the beginning of the game is look out there and see from the first 6 that are drawn out, which is just random and drawn off the top of the deck, what is going to immediately allow me to start pulling cards to my side. Well, there are no green out there, so I probably don't want to put Eris as my headquarters because there's nothing out there yet that's going to allow me to affect that. So most likely, I am going to not choose to put Eris as my headquarters. Now, one of the big things with this is when you initially make your decisions and you're doing this kind of stuff, you're actually going to hide this and you're not going to tell your opponent what you've picked, and they're not revealed until your very first turn starts. So the first player has to make their turn in the dark about what you have on your side, which just helps to balance things out because the first player kind of gets to control the tempo of the game, where the second player then has to deal with kind of what's left out there. But by not knowing what you have out there, that kind of helps to impact a little bit of saying, they can't just completely do everything to hose you over on that first turn of the game. So since there's no green out here, I'm likely going to leave the Eris, and I will, I think I'll put it in the recruits because that's where I'm going to want it. So just to mimic what would normally happen in the game, I'm going to put that one out there. Now, because Coven Rock is the only black card that's out there right now, and because it has a Thornraver icon on it, which allows me to play one of my Thornraver cards on my turn, I would actually like to be able to take that as a starting card. So I don't want my headquarters to be black because I want to be able to start building off of and creating my tableau so that I can do stuff. So I'm actually going to put Salvus Junction as my second capital, and I'm going to pick Horn Peak, the gray one, to be my headquarters. Now again, this dirty toxic overlord over here is going to do the same thing on their side and choose what they want to do. Similarly, there is no purple out on the board yet. Even though I really like some of the purple abilities, one of the things that you will kind of learn as you go through and learn the game a little bit better and you play it a few times is each of these capitals has a special ability as a battle power and a defend power. So when they are the battle, when they are on attack, they get to do something special at the beginning of the attack. If they are the defender and they win their battle, then they get a special bonus at the end of the battle. I really like what the Castellum from the New Republic region allows you to do, but because there are no purple cards on the board, I don't want to put everything kind of on betting on a lot of purple cards to be drawn out, so I'm going to put that over here to start. There are 2 brown cards at the beginning. Now, one goes to Loyalists, one goes to Recruits, but similarly, this red goes to Loyalists. So if I actually put my red city at Loyalists, I'll be able to put that straight there if I choose that as my starting card. And then Nova City, because there are 2 brown here already, I really want to be able to put this one out at the beginning, because that's going to allow me to start pulling those cards over and giving me some influence and giving me some control early on that I'm able to reinforce and establish some control there. Now, in order to actually start the game, what we will do, we actually leave these hidden for now, is we draw 1 card each. So we get a 9 for the Toxic Overlord and a 7 for the regular Overlord, which means the Toxic Lord gets to choose. Do I want to go first, or do I want to let my opponent go first? Well, given that there are 2 brown cards out here, and I don't want my opponent to really kind of mess that up for me too much, yeah, I'm going to go first, which means the first thing I have to do on my first turn is reveal what my cities are. So, or what my capitals are. First thing I do is I put my green headquarters symbol out here in the Andrasti Expanse because I have Nova City. Morta Castra is actually here in the Smoldering Golems. So this is my 1 capital. And then I also have the Castellum in the New Republic. So those are the capitals that I control at the beginning of the game. Now again, my first order of business is to actually take one of these cards and move it 2 spaces, one of these brown, or I can actually choose to do both of these and move them over. And I don't know that I want to do both of them, so I'm just going to do this one, and I'll move it 2 spaces over this way. So that is my headquarter influence. I have done that. We'll get through some of the other icons and things that happen on this, but basically this doesn't trigger anything else special to happen at the moment. And now I actually get to choose a card as my starting card, which I will recruit to my side, and then that will have other effects that go on. If you've never played Master of Wills, then this part it's fairly easy to understand once you actually get into the game. Some people tend to get a little bit confused by it, but it's really pretty easy. Basically, everything that's up here on this top row of this card is what happens if you choose that card as your first card at the beginning of the turn. So you have to choose a card at the beginning of the turn from the neutral area to recruit to your side. In the case of this card, which is the one I'm probably going to choose because it's brown and I want to get it to my side, and because it has the Thornraver icon on it, it's going to help me out in some different ways. So basically, the number is the power that it is worth. It's power in battle initially. The Thornraver icon means that I will get a Thornraver phase in this turn, which allows me to draw a card from my Thornraver deck and then play a card into my tableau, which will have other abilities and effects that go on. This draw icon is the only icon at the top of the card that when I move any card out of this neutral area, it is going to create more people that are going to come out into the fight, basically. So that card, or that icon, for each one of those that moves out of the neutral area, at the end of that phase, a card is going to get drawn into the neutral area. And then, because everybody has their social implications and kind of how they interact with people, these cards influence other cards on the board to react in certain ways. In this case, when it is your turn and you choose a card, any plus symbols mean toward you. Any negative symbols mean away from you and towards your opponent. So in this case, this person basically has a negative effect on these orange people, who are the ones from the Old East. So it will push somebody orange away from them because they don't want to be near this person. The white is going to come +1, and the purple for the New Republic is going to go -1. So again, there's no orange, there's no purple on the board, so I'm not actually hurting myself at this point because there's nothing that I have to worry about pushing away from me. But there is a +1, which is going to do that. The other most important thing up here is you can see the color of the banner up here And this word, which is underneath the name, underneath the region that it's from, tells you which row this card goes to if I choose it as my first card. So this one says Loyalist, which means it's going to come over to my Loyalist row. Now, I have to use the -1 orange, but again, there's no orange out right now, so I don't have to worry about that. The +1 white, I mean, I don't really want the -4, but it's okay. And the -purple, but again, there's no purple out here, so I don't have to worry about that. You will notice that this had a draw icon. This white one actually has 2 draw icons on it. So since these were both in the neutral area at the beginning of that phase, I get to draw 3 cards out here. So those 3 cards are now people that are available to recruit to be able to try to get into my side to be able to help me out. And again, this had a Thornraver icon on it, which means that now the Toxic Overlord, which is the person that I had built up over here, is that gonna, yeah, that'll balance okay. I get to draw a card from my Thornraver deck to my hand, and I get to build off of my tableau right now. I have the Balaniers, which is actually a special card which goes onto one of the rows, either the recruits or loyalists on either side, and has a certain effect. This one allows you to move 1 card +1 or -1 in the row at the end of each of your turns. If it's connected, meaning if I were to play 2 of these out and it was connected to another one, then I would actually get to move 2 cards. The Ouroboros is basically a big ship that is also another special card, which would go into one of those rows, which is what this symbol indicates, is that it goes into the rows, not into the tableau. And when a card is drawn to the row, move 1 neutral area card to the same region or color to the same row. So when a card moves into that row, I get to take a card of the same color from another area into that row. It's a very interesting card. It seems like when it's drawn there, which means that it would have to be a card that's drawn from the deck into that row, which can happen from lots of the other cards, so it can be some real ability there to kind of reinforce and get a lot more cards into that row to help you be able to do what you want to do. There's Rexington, which is a cool steampunk Tyrannosaurus Rex. And then there's Deep Doom, which is a cool guy that I really love because of the steampunk goggles and kind of what's going on in that picture, which allows me some kills and that sort of thing. Problem is, right now, there aren't a whole lot of people on the board, so killing stuff doesn't help me out. The Restores is actually pretty good. But the problem is there were only 2 cards in the Restore, and Rexington would actually restore 3, so is that good to play right now? Probably not so much. So what I will do is I will play my Balaniers, and I can actually use this on the row that I'm going to be using. And sure, why not? We will just go ahead and do it on the Loyalist row. I kind of like the Balaniers on the Loyalist row because it allows you to move back and forth between recruits or allies, where the recruits just allows you to put 1 card more into your Loyalist, or you would actually be able to put something back into the neutral area that you didn't want. I think one of the things to notice about this compared to Master of Wills, in Master of Wills it's all about getting these numbers on your side, so at the end of the game you have a higher score value on your side. This game is very different because it's all about the control of the board, or it's all about destroying your opponent's capitals. So these negative cards, while the negative still kind of can hurt you in a battle, it's more about using the abilities and the control and everything that you have. So I'm not worried about like getting rid of negative cards like I kind of am in Master of Wills. So I would rather have this here to give me the ability to move things back and forth so that I can finagle brown cards in here, or red cards to allies, or purple cards to allies, or move things back however I really need to be able to orchestrate all that. So it is now the end of the round, or the end of my turn. So the Balaniers is going to allow me to move the 11 up here because I couldn't really do anything else for the rest of my turn. There were no other resources or anything that I could do at this point. And unfortunately, since that happens now, that's actually after the reinforcement phase, so I don't get to move anything up into my city to reinforce it. But that's the end of the turn. There is always one draw from the deck to the neutral area at the end of every turn. So now I reveal what I have here, which puts my capital city, or my headquarters, right next to the other one. And then my two are actually right along the middle. So we are both pretty much very close to each other as far as the control and everything goes. So we're going to be battling for those areas, because at the end of the game, Nova's city gets extra region control if it controls the areas that it touches. So I really want to have the Emberlands and the North End and the Smoldering. But the problem is Horn Peak is also going to be competing for those exact same areas and trying to take these things away from me because of the area that it controls and has. Which is another reason, I kind of mentioned that I liked a lot of the stuff from the Castellum. This region control can give you more points at the end of the game if you can manage to take all the stuff that's around it, but that can be pretty tough to do. So now it is the second player's turn, and again, first thing we do on a turn is the Horn Peak ability, so I get to pull 2 cards to my side, or I get to do 2 movements for Emberlands people. The question is whether I want to just do 1 card and move it 2, which is what I actually did on this side, or whether I want to split that up and take 2 cards and move them 1. In this case, I think I really want to do this, where I take 2 cards and just move them 1. Now, I did move a draw card out, or a draw icon out, so that draws 1 at the end of that phase. So now that we're done through the headquarter influence phase, I draw that out, which puts this one out on the board. I don't want my opponent to get this, so I really don't want to use this to kind of move. Like if I were to take this 15, which is really good for battle power, I would have to move the 8 2 spaces towards him, and I would be giving that to him. And again, with the Balloniers here, they would just be able to move it back here to be able to then reinforce. So I don't want to do that. And there are some other cards that I think give me better options. So I can take this 5, which goes to recruits, does +1 orange, +1 purple, and -2 blue. There's no blue on the board, so I don't have to worry about that right now. But I get to take the orange and the purple. There's only 1 draw icon, so I draw 1 card right now out to the neutral area. And there was a Thornraver icon, so I get to draw 1 card. And for the Overlord, I can build off of what we have here so far. I'm going to move this deck, even though it's supposed to go right there, which is fine normally in the game. But because of the way I'm having to do this and kind of move this stuff in and out, it makes it harder to lay this down. So I'm gonna set it there. Now I have the Vermin, which is a good card. It's an instant card, which again is another. It's actually an action card, which is an instant that I can play out to get 4 connections off of it, which is again super helpful and flexible. But the rearrange ability off of it does me nothing right now. Gore Vigor allows me to kill 1 card, any 1 card I want to kill, except for allies. Allies, anything that's in the allies row on the far side is always completely protected. There is nothing you can ever do to anything that's in the allies row. You also cannot do anything to any card that is reinforced to a city. So I could kill any 1 card and then 1 random recruit, which would allow me to kill that -4, but I don't know that I really want to do that. And then I could kill 2 neutral area cards, which could be useful, but maybe not. Silver Tongue, which allows me to, my opponent actually gets to protect 1 of their rows for 1 turn. And I can reposition stuff in my horde, but that doesn't do me a whole lot of good right now. Or Impulse, which allows me to draw 1 card to Loyalists, and then draw and play my next horde card. Even though it's not the most ideal play, I'm going to play Impulse. Just because I don't like that it's going to kind of block me off from building down this way. I think we can work around it, and I think we can make it work. So we'll go ahead and play that one, which is going to draw 1 card to Loyalists. So I get to draw 1 card off the top of the deck to the Loyalists, which is a red, which I'm kind of okay with because that keeps the red away from my opponent who's wanting them. It doesn't do anything great for me, but a 10 is nice to have on my side right now. And then I get to draw one card from my horde, and I have to play this one now. This is White Wing. White Wing allows me to move 2 cards, 1 space each, and then draw 1 random card to the neutral area, and if it's odd, I get to move that card to my recruits. Now, the trick with this is I have to play this somewhere where it's going to connect. I kind of placed Impulse here, hoping that I'd be able to build off of here to be able to trigger one of those special cards later on. But I do have some cards that are going to let me be able to do some manipulation and rearrangement. So, yeah, we can kind of do this really wherever we want at the moment. And then hopefully we can move it later and it'll work out for us. So we will do White Wing here, which is going to give me 2 moves, 1 gamble, and I get to do 1 draw to Loyalist. So we'll do the 1 draw to Loyalist first, because you can do, when I activate this card, it has to go left to right. But you can activate your connections at any point, and you can choose to do all of these, I believe, in any order. So I will do this first, which actually gets me a 6 here, which is definitely a good thing because that allows me to have more gray stuff on my side of the board. Now I get to do 2 moves and then 1 gamble, and if it's an odd card, then I get to put it in my recruits. So we'll move that out of the way so you can see the board. I mean, I want black cards, so I'm going to do 1 here. It has to, and it's 2 cards, +1 or -1, so I can't do just 1 card, 2 spaces. It would have to be 2 different cards. I mean, I could move stuff on this side, but if I move the 9 over on their next turn, they're just going to be able to put it in here anyway, so that it doesn't really help me out in any way. We're going to take the 15 and we'll move it here. Kind of a weird move, but I think it'll help us out. Now, we get to draw 1 random card here, which is a -4. It is not an odd card, so we don't get to move it to my recruits. And that is the end of that turn. So now, since this person went second, that is the end of round 1. Again, we always get an end of turn card. And now that we've kind of been through 1 round and you kind of see what it looks like, now we should be able to move a little bit faster. So, Headquarter Influence. This card moves here. This person has to choose what they want to do on their turn. Well, we're going to do this. There. Which allows me 2 blue, but there is no blue. It allows me 2 yellow. This is the only yellow. But it allows me to bring this 8 over to here. Which gives me some good stuff. This had 2 draw. This had 1 draw, and it was in the neutral area. This has a draw, but it was on my side. It wasn't in the neutral area, so crossing over does not trigger that draw icon. And that's all that this turn gets for this person. And then there's 1 end of turn draw. So, Headquarters Influence. We are going to move this one out. We'll move the 8 closer. That's it for Headquarters Influence, but there was a draw. Ooh. I kind of want this one because it hurts my opponent. It also kind of helps me because of the 4 gray. I could put 4 cards into my allies row, which would allow me to start reinforcing and being able to do what I need to do in this. So I'm going to hopefully move that over just a little bit. It might help you see a little bit more on the allies over here. Ooh, this is tough. I mean, I don't really want them to have the leader, because the leader provides, if they are in your allies, or if they're reinforced, if they're in your allies, then they allow all of the purples to get 1 attack power more on your side, and if you're fighting against any purples, you can actually reduce their attack power by 1. So leaders are good to have. It's just hard because it doesn't give me a lot of great stuff, but it gets me some good stuff. But I'm going to do it. It's not going to get me a Thornraver play, but I can do 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 3 black, so I can do 1, 2, 3, because that would have been 2, 3. Now, I'm sorry, on this one's turn, I should have been able to reinforce this to here. I should have been able to reinforce allies to here, and from what Beach told me today, I should be able to reinforce this to there as well. So I can only reinforce 1 from this row to this row, but from allies you can actually reinforce from here to another row, I believe, is the way that was explained to me. So so that allows me to actually put 2 in there on 1 turn, which is pretty nice. All right, and then now back to this turn where I am now at the reinforcement stage. I can put the 8 up here, and then I can actually reinforce the 7 here and the 5 here. Cool. And then 1 end of turn card, and we move on to round 3. This person, there is no brown on the board, so there is no influence that can be done for the headquarters, which means that it's straight into selecting my starting card. Districts are special cards which can be used to, once you reinforce them, they actually allow you to start pulling other cards towards your side that have these resource icons on them. We have not had any resources currently reinforced or put in allies, but those resources actually give you end game points if you control that area with that resource. So this guy has gun here. If he gets 2 allies, or if he gets reinforced to the capital of that area, then that resource, which in this case is fuel, would get put in that area. This 6 also has one. Man, and there are not a lot of great options out here, because I'm kind of worried, like I don't want to keep giving cards to my opponent. But there's no brown, so that doesn't do me much good. The blue is fine, but then the yellow kind of hurts me. The gray's not great. The white's okay. Black doesn't hurt me. So I think I want to do this. That might not be ideal, but I can do the red here. Oh, I could have used the Ballineers to move this in here. So this actually kind of works out for me. I get to go -4, 1, 2, 3, so I have to bank this in my opponent's allies. But then there's no other yellow that I can move because this is an allies, it's protected. So plus orange, which allows me to bring this up to recruits. And then +1, so I can actually take this 6 out. No draw, no draw, no draw. Well, those are all the ones that came out of the neutral area, so we just go right into the Thornraver play. So again, this is Toxic Overlord, who last time he played Ballineers, so he doesn't have anything actually on his tableau other than the Overlord at this point. But now we're at a spot where we are wanting to play some cards. Cool. Immortala is going to be a good one for us right now. it allows me to do 2 moves. I get to move 1 card, +1 or -1, and then I have to move one of my recruits to Loyalists. And then my opponent gets to spy one of their cards and determine whether they want to keep that Thornraver card on the top of their deck or not. So a little bit of a trade-off there. But being able to move any card with that +1, -1 is pretty good. The big thing, though, is that allows me to do this to bring the 12 up there, which I think is what I would want to do at this point, with my move recruits to Loyalists. With my move 1 card +1 or -1, I'm going to take this 8 out. No draw icon. These are done now. I get to reinforce on my turn, so I get to put this up here and this up here. And now we draw 1 end of turn card. Headquarter Influence. I get to bring these both over. And then what do we get to do? There's not a lot out here. Yeah, these aren't the greatest options, really. But we'll take this 6. It goes to Loyalists. Goes 2 brown. There's no brown. Goes -2 yellow, but the only yellows on the board are both protected and allies. And then it goes +2 blue, so I get to take this one out. But this card also has a special icon on it. That is this red skull symbol, which means I get to kill any one red card on the board. Well, my opponent has a red card, so I get to kill that. That goes to the afterlife. I did, when this happened, I actually have just now landed both of these guys in the allies, which allows me to take both of these resources, which is a gun and a fuel, and put those in my headquarters. So those go in the region. Because they got to the allies, they actually go in my headquarters. This did have a draw icon, so we would draw one out for the blue district that came out. But that was it. Because there were no brown, there were no yellow, and that's all. So now we are at the end of round 4, but I do get to reinforce at this point, but I only get to reinforce this 6 up, so that helps us. End of turn card. And now my opponent is going to, who knows, I guess we'll take this 8. No, I don't really want to do that. Yeah, this is kind of a bummer. I mean, I want the red, but there's no brown on the board, so I don't get headquarter influence again. I think I have to take this one, so that this gives me a Thornraver play. Then -1 gray. Oh, I didn't see that one. Whatever, we're doing it. -1 gray, -2 purple. This is the only purple that's left on the board, so that goes into the allies, which is going to be a pain, but we'll try to deal with it. But I do get a Thornraver play. So we will bring the Overlord back over here. We've drawn Cunning Dog, which allows us to do 3 moves, which is 1 neutral card, 1 recruit, and 1 loyalist. And then the opponent gets 1 draw to their recruits. It's actually a pretty handy card to have. And because of the way this is going to work out, I kind of like putting this down here. So yeah, we'll set that up that way. So right now, we'll just kind of move these around so they stay on the board. Remember, again, I have a card in there that's going to let me rearrange, so I can actually open up this space, which is going to leave Cunning Dog here with that icon up there, so that we can drop in one of the mythic cards hopefully later. So I get 3 moves out of that. So I have to move 1 neutral card, 1 recruit, and 1 loyalist. Well, the neutral card I want is this one. The recruit I want, I mean, we'll take this out. And then the loyalist, yeah, let's bring you up here. This one moved out of the neutral area, so it would actually be a draw. Now we draw 1 card to opponent's recruits. And then this did tie to the White Wing, which does the gamble. I just played the wrong card on the wrong one. All of this stuff is fine, but we're just going to play this off of here, and we will do this slightly different because we played it all to the right direction. I just played it on the wrong tableau, so that should actually sorry, this is the problem of not being able to keep everything kind of set that way. This one is for this side, which was the Cunning Dog, which should have been over there. So, yep. Oh, and I never did the spy for this one. Crackpot will... We'll put that on the bottom. So that gets discarded. So this did move out, so we do draw, or we already drew the 1 card out for that. And that's all we get. We don't get the gamble because that was a different card. So my bad. Like I said, still learning, adjusting to the game. So that's it. Now we get an end of round card. Ooh. Yellow and gray. So, headquarter influence. I get to move this over here. Yeah, this is very weird. It's another one of those where I don't have a lot of great options. So I think I'm just going to have to take this one to Loyalists, which unfortunately is going to give them a purple. Oh, at the end of the round, they meant to take Balaniers and move them there. I was in my mind before I realized I messed up the the actual setting up of the Thornraver set. But there was no other orange. There was no green on the board. So that does that. That does draw a card out to the neutral area, though. Oh, no. Which is going to be theirs. So, but now for real, this Overlord does get another Thornraver play. So again, I do have a rearrange, so I will get to be able to use that at some point if I need to. And I actually have 2 of those rearranges. So I kind of like where I am right now. with what's going on with all my folks here. Yeah. I may go ahead and go... We'll go with the Surgeon off the bottom here. Because we're kind of getting into a cool area where we should be able to get the 4 gold around here. And now we've got the 2 black here, which we might possibly... Like, I've got another card in my hand that has an up, so I might be able to get it there. And if I can get White Wing over here somehow, that'll be tough, but maybe doable. We shall see. Actually, it's not too bad, because I can get both of these down. Oh, no, but then that doesn't match. Okay, we'll see. We have options, but we got to keep working on it. Yeah. So, now, for real, I'm going to get 3 draws directly to my Loyalists because of the Surgeon. Not necessarily, I should say, not necessarily to my Loyalists, but 3 to Loyalists. So I will take the 6. The -5. I don't want it, but I don't want to give it to them. Actually, yeah, we'll let you have it. That's fine. And then a 1. We'll definitely take the orange. I get to freeze 2 cards in the neutral area until my next turn. We're going to freeze this and this. So those are frozen and cannot move. And then I get to gamble with White Wing. Draw. If it's odd, it moves to my recruits. That had a draw icon on it, so it does actually draw 1 out. And then we get the end of turn. And that's it for that turn. It is now round 5. Again, I can't choose these because those are frozen. But I am okay with this one because there's no green on the board to hurt me. This goes to recruits. I get to move 2 red. So let's swing that one over. And then negative black, but there's no black on the board, so I don't have to worry about that one. Sorry, at the end of this round, I should have reinforced here. It's okay. We're good, but I should have done something there. Oh, actually, I couldn't have. I don't think. Oh, no. Yeah. No, I couldn't have. So, we're good. I could have possibly... I met the requirements to use my headquarters to initiate an attack. My Covenant Rock area had 5 cards below it, so I could actually attack from this region using these 5 cards. But your Loyalists can only attack the other Loyalists. But they only had 1 card reinforced and 1 card here. I guess they had 3 cards. But they didn't have enough to defend, so I couldn't actually have initiated an attack. So right now we're just kind of building up until the point when we actually get to start attacking and fighting. So, so that has been done. Nothing had a draw icon. So we simply get what we have here, but we get to draw a Thornraver card for Toxic Overlord. And so this is one of our special cards that actually gets played into the tableau of relocation. So it allows me to reposition or discard 1 horde card, so I can just get rid of 1 out of the tableau that I don't like where it is. And then I can remove up to 1 special card that my opponent might have. They don't have any right now. I may need to check to see if when that remove 1 special card, can you remove it from your tableau, or does it have to be one that's on the thing, and that's what I'm not positive on that. But it will be good information to have for a later date. Yeah, we kind of, we're okay. We've built ourselves into a weird shape, but I think we can recover. Cool. So yeah, we'll do Deep Doom because I feel like we're behind a little bit right now. So we will do some killing. So Deep Doom allows us to do 3 kills, which is 2 random recruits. Well, I get to pick the recruit row. So the 2 random recruits are the 2 recruits that my opponent has. 1 random loyalist on my own side. So unfortunately I have to shuffle these up and I'm going to lose 1. And then 1 random loyalist. So I will pick this loyalist. I killed the 6. Probably the one I least wanted to do out of that because, yeah, I wanted that 6 over here. Then this re-triggers the thorn circles for Immortala, which is move 1 card +1 or -1 and one of my recruits to loyalists. So I get to move 1 card +1 or -1. We're going to take the nine here, and then remove 1 recruit to loyalists. Now, my opponent gets to view their Thornraver card. That's a legendary. We'll keep that on the top. We're good with that. Normally my opponent wouldn't get to see what I saw. I would just say, yeah, I'm going to keep that. They wouldn't know that it was a legendary that I saw. This one I moved out of the neutral area. I actually had a draw icon on it, so we get to draw 1 out here. Now, I get to reinforce. So I will get to put this up here. There is nothing I get to reinforce from here or here. At the end of the turn, I can use my Balloneers to move this. Sure, we'll go there. Excuse me, my nose is itching. Allergies, whatever it is, are kind of messing up. Cool. So, 1 end of turn card. Now you will see that orange has come out here, which is the orange capital, and we'll cover exactly how that works once we get to that. Right now, our Overlord gets to go. There is no gray to move over for the headquarters influence. So we're in a spot where we get to decide what we want to do. Yeah. So one of the things we want to try to do is we want to try to get this capital over here because we can reinforce it and then basically have another city that we are in control of. Working on trying to figure out how exactly I want to do that. And I need to check one message from Vij real fast because when you I need to see what happens when you reinforce the capital, moved into allies, all cards from that region in the recruits and loyalist rows on the player side will immediately move to allies. The capital must then be placed above a row, and all cards follow that into the row. Wait. Must also follow to the row. Other cards from that region do not follow and must still be reinforced. Cards with resource icons following the capital will place those. Okay. So. Interesting. One, I did reinforce, so I got this there at some point. Which gives me, yep, 3. Cool. This one still does not have any yet. Yeah, so I think what I want to do is this. I mean, I really don't want to give them the brown, but it's not like that's their headquarters. I'm not really going to be able to keep browns away from them unless I completely bank them in my allies. But I don't know that I want to do that. Like, I'd be pushing stuff away a little bit and kind of hurting myself. I mean, it might be a good way. Because it does... Oh, man. Yeah, we're going to do this. I mean, maybe it's the wrong move. But I'm still learning the game, so I don't care. We'll put the 12 there. This allows me to take this Old East and go 1, 2, 3. Because this had a +3 on it. This one, when I take it out, actually, I'm supposed to kill a gray, but there's no gray on the board. That's not protected, so I'm pretty safe with that. So now that that has moved to the allies, this gets to come here. And then I get to reinforce, or not reinforce, but I get to put the Old East up here, because I'm going to put it on my loyalist row, which brings all these kind of back out here. And then I will reinforce 15 up here, the 5 up here, this is going to get weird. Cool. Were there any draws that I pulled out of there? One. The brown didn't have one. Orem didn't have one. So just the one draw. And then one end of turn. It's round 6. Toxic Overlord gets to go. Yeah, I mean, I don't want you getting this district over there because that's going to hurt me. So we'll take this to recruits, which is negative gray, but there's no gray. +1, so I'm good with putting that +1. And then we'll give you that. There were no draws. So we just have the end of turn. And then they would get to reinforce this one. That's getting mighty scary. What does Coven Rock give us? Not much, huh? But I want the Coven Rock. There's no gray. So I could do the 3, which would give me some draws, but wouldn't give me... I think we need this at this point. I mean, I just kind of have to do this. We can put the -4 there. And then 2 gray, but there's no gray. So we just get a Thornraver play for the Overlord, which, as we saw just a minute ago, we knew was coming, was Captain Blitz. But I kind of can't play Blitz at the moment. This says replace. I think it's supposed to say rearrange. So this says don't replace or trigger things. Basically, if you play it as an instant, you don't get the other abilities on it. So I wonder if they changed the keyword on that or something along those lines. I mean, I could play Blitz here. But then it's kind of in a really weird spot. Or I could just play Silver Tongue. Yeah, we're going to do that. We will play Silver Tongue up here, which will allow me to move White Wing. Don't think I get any triggers from the rearrangement. It just allows me to move. And then my opponent protects one of their rows for one turn. So they are going to protect the entire recruit row. So Silver Tongue may not seem great, but the ability to rearrange anytime I connect off of it is pretty nice. Draw one end of turn card. And now we go. Again, we're just not in a in a great place to be able to do a lot of anything. Yeah, we'll take this one, which is gonna... Oh, I can't move that. There's no red. I can move this, which is gonna give me 2 draws to the neutral. Okay. And I get to play another card for Toxic. I wonder if when I reposition, can I reposition over here? Because the black would still connect. May have to look in the rules to figure that out. Because that would be a valid placement. It just wouldn't have any valid gold connections, and I don't know if that's allowed. Or we're going to do something funky. So I'm going to play Relocation. I thought, son of a gun. Yeah, that doesn't quite work like I hoped it would. I thought this had a gold on it, and it doesn't. Yeah, we'll do Grotesque. I'm just, like I said, you can kind of get pinned in a corner in how you can build, and I feel like that's where I'm getting. Okay. Nope. I think I'm good. It's gonna take some work, but we're gonna do Relocation here, which allows me to reposition or discard one Horde card. Actually, dang it. Okay, never mind. We're going to hold off on relocation. We're just going to play Ouroboros, which will, anytime we draw a card to the row, you get to move a neutral card of that same region or color to that row. So nothing gets to get reinforced here, but this 8 can get reinforced here. This -5 can get reinforced here. And now oh, if only there was one more card here. But there's not. Well, we're going to do it anyway. So we're going to do, this is the end of the round. I can actually initiate a battle. In order to initiate one, you have to have 3 cards reinforced underneath the capital, which I have 4, and you have to have at least 5 cards in the entire row. Right? The other way to satisfy that is have at least 3 cards reinforced in your headquarters. But then if you do that, then you have to battle with the cards that are below the capital. So you don't actually get to use the ones that are up here that are reinforced, because this is initiating the battle and using the cards from that row to do it. I don't have 3 here, so I can't do that. My opponent does not have enough recruits here, or I might actually attack that row. But they do have, I do have enough here, and they do have enough here. And I am going to attack Coven Rock. So the way this works is we take all the cards underneath Mordecastra and all the cards in the Loyalist. You'd normally shuffle them up, and the one that has more of the matching color to their capital would get 6 cards, and the one with least would get 5. I have more here, but I only have 5 cards, so I only get 5. So these are the cards that I have available to me to attack with. We're attacking Coven Rock, so I get to get these 2 and all of these. And now this, it's 5, and I will get to look at these cards and see what I missed out on, which unfortunately was the 10, which would have been helpful. Although you can actually choose for districts not to take part in the battle, so I could have said, no, I'm good, and save that one anyway. So my opponent now gets to choose first. He's going to say, I'm going to play the 12. I say, well, I don't stand a chance against that, but I don't want to lose this leader, since I'm likely going to lose all this anyway. We'll sacrifice the 7. Okay, they lost. I'm going to play the 10. Okay. We'll lose the 6. Play the 9. Okay, we'll lose this 6. Well, shoot, I'll play the -4. Oh, okay, we're going to beat that with our 1. And then I have to play my 5, which is going to get beaten by the 8. So, I didn't do these consistently. Should have been this way. So, this capital only won once, but this card is the only card that lived, so it gets to come back to the row. These cards, who all lost their skirmishes, die and go here. These cards that all won get to come back here, and even if they weren't reinforced because they are of the same color, they get to come here. These were all reinforced, but even if they weren't, they would still come back. This now swings over to my side and gets placed in that row, which means you no longer have control of Coven Rock. I do. Well, maybe I don't have control of Coven Rock. This one, I did reinforce High Orim, so this should actually have been out there. They don't have control over it yet because it's just in the Loyalist row. I believe they still need to. It goes over to the row. I don't think it automatically gets taken control of, and then they need to get it to allies to be able to take control of it, I think. Okay. So we lost that. It's an end of turn card. And now it's the Overlord's turn, who is pissed. But I actually don't have enough cards to really take advantage and do anything. Because now this has all been beaten down. The Gargantuan is actually not over there. I don't believe you get to steal cards from that side. Yeah, I don't think that would just follow over, but it might. All right. Yeah, I guess we'll do this. -3. There's no red out here to push. Was that no? Wrong card. No. Oh, I didn't want to give them all the whites. I mean, do I just take the capital and move it over? No. We'll do this. This goes to my recruits. A +1 white. -2 blue, so we'll give you the -3 and hopefully hurt you. And then +2 black, which I can bring over here. Maybe? Assuming I'm doing this right. And then I get to kill a brown, so we'll knock that out. Oh, actually, I think I missed the headquarter movement because I'm so used to there not being brown out here that should have come up here and should have done that. So that's fine. Okay. So that's his turn. And end of round. So we're at round 8. I feel like I'm in pretty good control right now for the most part. So we're gonna do this, which this goes immediately to allies. Get to kill a green, so we'll go ahead and take that out. -1 black, so you can have the Coven Rock. +1 orange, so we'll take this. And then +1 yellow. Gives me that leader. And that's it. There were no draw, no draw, no draw. So, end of turn. I thought I was doing well. We'll just take this one to recruits to swing this over. And then end of turn, round 9. We'll take this to allies, which gives 2 red, 2 blue. So we'll take this out here. And then I get to move a black one. So we'll take that there. And that's it for that one too. Yep. And end of round. Okay, so we can do this to loyalists. Get to kill an orange, so we'll take out your district because I feel like you're gonna be a pain about that. I get to move 3 yellows, so I can do 1, 2, which then immediately brings this over. These get to get reinforced. I'm going to put these in this row this time and keep them out of reach of all the red pain over there. Yeah, actually at the end of that turn I did mean to attack. Oh no, I couldn't have because you don't have enough in that row, so we're good. And again, didn't have enough in this row either. So, man, this guy's just kind of getting starved. So we took that. I got to kill an orange. This does draw 1. And now we're in the final round, unless somebody decides to play something to extend it. The Toxic Overlord is probably not going to. He kind of feels like he's in a good place. So the Overlord needs to decide if he needs to extend it so that he can try to get leverage and do something good. It is the Toxic Overlord's turn for the final turn. There's no brown out. Purple, oh yeah, so we will definitely do this. This goes to recruits. There's no brown. There's actually no purple. And we'll take the orange. So this draws 2 cards out. And then an end of round, or end of turn. Oh, look. I get to take 2 over. And then I guess we'll have to take this one, which goes straight to allies. Oh, and this should have been reinforced a long time ago. I just keep forgetting to do it. Man. Oh, this should have this here. And this should have that there. That's it so far. Oh no, he just got a labor to Nova City. Cool. Yeah, so I took this, 1 brown, there's no brown on the board. -1 orange, so we can move this here. Oh, and this should have gotten reinforced on their turn. And then -1 black. Yeah, I guess you can have that. We will draw a card for the Overlord. Interesting. But we're actually going to use the Vermin as an instant play. To go ahead and get that out. To then use Captain Blitz. Which, did I draw a card? Okay, well, I should have drawn an extra when I played the Vermin, so, okay. So I will, yeah, I'll play Captain Blitz, which gives me 4 draws to recruits. So I do, we'll give you the -3. Sure, we'll take that. 2, 3, 4. Beautiful. And then gamble, I get to draw 1 card to the opponent's recruits. If 6 or less, draw 2 cards to my own loyalists. So it's a gamble. 6 or less, 6 or less. So 4. So I get to draw 2 cards to my 2 loyalists. So I'll take them both. It's an 8 and a 4. Then, the long-awaited, we have made our square. So we get to choose one of these to do an ability. Bonus play is play 4 different connection bonuses from your horde. Well, that's a gamble, that's a gamble. So I could draw, I could freeze, I could rearrange, I could protect. Don't really want to do that. 2 of these have that bonus play. The other abilities are 4 restores. So I could randomly get 4 restores and choose where I want to put them, which could be good for me. 4 draws, which is very similar. 5 moves. I get to choose 2 neutral cards to move, and then 3 random neutral cards, and we get to move them all to recruit. So I get to choose 2 of them, shuffle up the rest, and then 3 of them are going to go to recruits. Or choose 1 neutral card and 3 random and move them to loyalists. So I'll have to look at that and decide if that's going to be helpful. 4 draws to the neutral area, and then either population icons go to recruits or Thornraver icons go into recruits. But you have to pick that before you make the choice. Oh no, that's an and. I did not realize that. Ooh. Ooh, ooh, ooh. I think I'm going to go with Lightbinder. Because I don't know... Well... What do we have in here? Woo. I mean, there's good stuff in here, but it's all random. I mean, I could get some yellows. Could get some greens. Ooh, tough. Tough, tough, tough. I don't want to risk that. I mean, there's only 1 card in the neutral area right now, so that doesn't do me a whole lot of good. So yeah, I think we just do Skythorn. So Skythorn is going to drop in the middle of the area we made. I get to draw 4 cards to the neutral area. Any withdraw icons with population icons get to go in recruits. Nope. Yes. Nope. Nope. And 4 draws to the neutral area. Because I don't think it's... My read on that is it's not the same 4. So 1, 2, this 6 goes here. 4. Okay. So now I get to reinforce. So I can take the 10 up here. This can actually put the 5 up here. This 12 can actually go up here. And then this 5 can go up here. And then I'm going to attack from here to purple. I will use Sandaran. Capitals are not involved in attacks. So we will shuffle all of these. I have 4. There was a 5th one in this row. They have 4, so I actually get 6 cards. Not bad. Now they get 5. And they've got a lot of negatives, which is what I was banking on here. So we will flip these over. Oh, it's going to be a slaughter. Yep. So first things first, we'll use the 14. Oh, and actually this is attack. Move one card, -1 in the opponent battle row before the shuffle. So I could have moved, basically, I could have taken one of these cards, like their highest 10. Yeah, we can move the district there, just to do that. I forgot about that earlier with the other abilities from Mordecastro. Draw one card to row or block opponent battle power. Oh. Castellum's battle power is swap lowest shuffled card with an undrawn card from your row. So we will swap the -5 instead with this. That did not help. So we'll play the 14 and they're going to say, yep, can't beat that. We'll lose this. I'll say, okay. Then I will play an 11 and they'll say, yep, can't beat that, so we'll lose this. Say, great, I will play a 10. Can't beat that, so we'll lose this. I will play a 7. Nope. 6. No. So, Bloodbath. All 5 of their cards got destroyed. All 5 of mine, 6 actually, because I didn't have to play one of them, live. And then these all go back under Sandran. Castellan comes over here. And I think with any cards that were of the same thing in the row, go with it. This one was weird because it was in a different row, so the Coven Rock I don't think would have moved with it because it wasn't in the same row. I would need to check that and make sure, but that's my understanding of how it works. So that we are now at the end of the game. Nobody extended the game because nobody played any of their cards to do that. So again, this person kind of felt like they were ahead, so they didn't feel like they needed to. This person had a very good last turn because they were able to complete their shape and get that done and get a lot of extra stuff on their side and then destroy an area. So New Republic goes away from their control. And now I need to pull out the instructions to figure out exactly how to count up and finish the end of the game. Last time I played, I actually managed to win through, well, kind of a domination victory. So the first thing we do, each capital, yeah. Okay, so we're attacking and defending Rome. Okay, so yep, so that moves over. I was trying to figure out if the, like, what happens to these capitals? Do these move up at the end of the game? And it doesn't. This is an older rule book. This is not the most up-to-date one. Let me pull up the Kickstarter has a sorry, having to see around my mic. Kickstarter has a new one up that I need to check real quick. So once I can get that pulled up, then I can see. They have, I've read through the rulebook a number of times and helped them with a little bit of the wording and that kind of stuff, but just got this this past week and haven't been able to play as many games and get everything under control as I want, so I didn't have... The first couple of games I played, I was really confused and had to ask a lot of questions because there were a lot of things in the rulebook that hadn't been done, but they had already made updates to the rulebook that just weren't in the printed copy that came with the prototype. So that was where I had to ask for some clarification on some stuff. I actually recorded a little bit and sent that in, and then got some specification on how exactly all that stuff works. When the game has ended, cards located in the Recruits and Loyalists row may still be reinforced. Each card in a row that matches the capital on the row are moved up and placed underneath its capital. So this will go up. This will go up. And I guess that's it. If a resource is on the card, a resource token should be placed in that region. Nope, none of those had resources. I think I already... Oh no, yellow. I should actually have that here. And then that had a symbol. Okay. Green does not have one. Orange does not have one. I've got a few for gray. If any cards match the cube, they are moved. Match the cube. Those cards are moved to allies. If any cards match the headquarters. Oh, okay. They're just saying if it's the same thing. Okay. Districts will be able to reinforce during the final reinforcement at the end of the game. Capitals cannot be promoted during this phase. The capital must be promoted during the turns only. So yeah, I didn't get a chance to promote either of the capitals because I did not get them to my allies to do that. So winning the game. Each capital located in a region on the continent has the ability to control the connecting regions around it. That's what these icons are on Horn Peak, right? So Horn Peak, I do control the green, but not the purple. I wasn't able to get control of that. It was just kind of on my side. And the whites, or the brown, or the red. So just the green. So count all the capital regions you control and count the regions that connect together without an opponent or uncontrolled region cutting it off. Per connected region, add 5 points for controlling regions shown on your headquarters card. Add 5 points. Okay. So I really just get 10, 15, and then I don't have, 20. That's the only district I had? Yeah. Okay. And then leadership, count leaders that match each capital, add 10 points for each. Then count leaders that don't match a capital, add 5 points for each of those. So, what did we decide? I said 10 for the chain regions, 15, 20 for the district being there. Leader, 30. 40, 45, that's it. And then resources, there are 5 different types of resources. Each player should remove their tokens from the map, place the resource tokens in front of you, add up each individual resource, add district bonuses with the plus and minus tokens. So district bonuses, if under the capital, move a resource +1 or -1 for each of your turns. I don't know when I did this, so I completely missed some of those. I would have been able to move some cards over at some point, but yeah, I think this got reinforced like right at the end, so that's fine. If paired with Horn Peak, reduce opponent materials by -1, reduce opponent labor by -1. Okay, so my opponent gets -1 for labor. Up each individual resource. Add district bonuses with plus and minus. If a player gains majority of any one resource, add 10 points for each controlled resource. So we had these and this. They had this and this and this. Okay. So, but I get to take a -1 on gas, on fuel, and labor for having my district up there. So, -1, -1. And they do not have a district reinforced, so they don't get any of that. So we push on this, but then because they have -1, they have nothing. So this actually gives me 10, 20. What's the monopoly? Add 10 points for each controlled resource. If a tie, no points are added. Add 5 points for each monopolized resource or any individual resource that a player has 5 or more controlled. Oh, monopolized because the opponent has none. So this would actually be 10, 15, 30. And then these, they don't get any points for. So what am I at on this side? So this is having to understand exactly how to count up all the points here at the end is a little different. So regional influence was 5, 10, 15 because this was actually part of the region for the Emberlands, and then 20 because I had a district, and then 30 for having the leader here, 40 for having the leader there, 45 for having a leader here, and then 75 because these were monopolized resources, because I got plus 30 from that. And then capital growth. Place all cards, including the districts and leaders, below each capital. Right, so we were at 75. Count how many cards you have that match the region color. Count each capital and all the cards underneath it and add points to your score for each capital and its points. So if you have below each capital, and count how many cards you have that match the region. Got it. So this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So this is 20 points, so that's 95. This is 4, so that's 105. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, which is another 20, which is 125. And then these two is 10, so 135. And then overall population score. Remove all cards that do not contain a draw icon, and count all draw icons on all cards. Count each icon even if the card has 2 or 3. Once counted, add or deduct all district bonuses. HQ population bonuses decrease the overall population as well. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So I have 10 population on this side. So we'll get to that point in a minute. As far as what the difference in population is, I think. Yeah, the player with the higher population, the lower, and then you get points depending on how much more population you have. So that's 10. They have 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Just 9? So there's 1, so it's 10 points. So what was I at? 125, so 135 or 145? That was 20, 30, 45, 75, 95, 105, 125, 135. I get 10 points, so 145. I think is the final score for the Overlord. Now we just get to do all this stuff for this one, which is 5, 10, 15. They had no district. Oh, they did. 20. Okay. This doesn't get to get reinforced. They don't have one here now. And nothing gets to get reinforced here. So 20. The resources, they get nothing from the resources because they got kind of blanked out on that. 20. Do they have a leader over here? No. 20. That's it. They didn't get any leadership bonuses. Capital growth 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So that's 20. So that's 40. 50. They don't get any population. So yeah, so 145 to 50, I think is the end. Assuming I did all that right. Veej can always correct me later on. I think overall, I mean, this is a lot of fun. I enjoy the game. I really like, I really like certain aspects of it. One, I love the DNA of Master of Wills, of being able to push and pull the cards kind of across in the tug of war. I like the aspect of the area control that's kind of up here, and that's really what the game kind of comes down to, is trying to control things and master the area and the regions. But then, I think this is my favorite part of laying everything out, trying to figure out the puzzle of how to lay these out to get the best ability out of it, to try to trigger some of these mythic cards that you can drop in and do things with, is really cool. And what I didn't get to with the spine, I mean, just one more card up here, I could have activated the spine, which then gives you some extra abilities off of that, that you kind of get to work off of and do things. Basically, once you surround the spine, it activates and you get the abilities that are on it. Yeah, overall, a lot of fun. I think it's going to be a lot of fun for people who have the patience and the ability to kind of work through it. I think as you learn it, you can obviously play it a lot faster. But as you learn it, you learn a lot more of the strategy, so it's going to be a little more tricky as far as how you go through and get through that kind of stuff. If you extend the rounds out, obviously you can make it go a little bit longer, and really get into the depth and the detail of a lot of what there is to do with that. So, hopefully I didn't do too much of a disservice to what the game has to offer. Hope you enjoy it and hope you got something out of it, and look forward to seeing you on the comments. Thanks a lot. Have a good one.